Ever crack open a book hoping for like a single sentence that just clicks everything into place?
Oh, totally. Like you want to cut through all the noise and get right to the good stuff.
Exactly. And that's what we're doing today with Marcus Aurelius's Meditations.
Meditation's classic. So what makes this one so special?
It's basically like peeking into the diary of a Roman emperor.
Okay, now that's a diary I would read.
Mhm.
Imagine the kind of stuff he'd be writing about.
Right. Running an empire, waging wars, dealing with political drama, and somehow still finding time for self-reflection.
Talk about time management goals.
Seriously. But what really struck me is how much of what he grappled with still resonates today.
Oh, absolutely. Like the feeling of being overwhelmed, the pressure to do it all.
Yes. And his answer to that is so simple, yet powerful. He focuses on what we can control.
Which is it?
Ourselves, our thoughts, our reactions, our choices, not the external chaos.
Easier said than done, though, right?
Totally. But he uses this great analogy in book 5. He compares life to being a spectator in an arena. You've got the gladiators, the crowd, the whole spectacle.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
And you can't control any of it. The outcome of the fight, the guy next to you spilling his drink, nothing.
So we're just along for the ride.
In a way, yes. But here's the key. We get to choose how we react to the action.
Oh, I see. Like, do we get caught up in the frenzy or do we observe with a sense of calm?
Exactly. It's about realizing that even when it feels like things are spinning out of control, we always have a choice in how we respond.
So it's more about mastering our inner world than trying to bend the external world to our will.
Exactly. It's like this inner citadel that no external force can touch unless we allow it to. And honestly, when you think about it that way, it's incredibly empowering.
It really is. So instead of freaking out over a traffic jam, maybe it's an opportunity to practice some deep breathing or catch up on a podcast.
Right. Or instead of getting swept up in an argument, it's about taking a step back, choosing to respond with reason instead of reacting with emotion.
It's about finding that pause button in the middle of the chaos.
Yes, and that's where Aurelius really shines. He gives us these incredibly practical tools to navigate this crazy, messy thing we call life.
Speaking of messy and chaotic, Aurelius also talks a lot about nature.
Okay, before you have me trading my laptop for a loincloth, what does he mean by nature?
He's not talking about running off to the wilderness, although a little nature therapy never hurt anyone. He's talking about aligning ourselves with the natural order of things.
Aligning ourselves with the natural order of things. Go on.
He saw beauty even in decay, recognizing it as part of a larger cycle, like a fallen tree nourishing the forest floor or a storm clearing the way for new growth.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get it. But how does that translate to, say, dealing with a project that totally flopped?
Imagine that instead of dwelling on the disappointment, you see it as an opportunity for something new to emerge. Maybe it cleared the path for a different project, one that's even better suited to your talents. That's living in accordance with nature, embracing the ebb and flow, the inevitable cycles of creation and destruction.
So instead of resisting change, we learn to move with it.
Exactly. We find that sense of peace and even acceptance in knowing that everything is part of a larger rhythm. Remember, Aurelius wasn't some detached philosopher on a mountaintop. He was an emperor, dealing with war, betrayal, political intrigue, all the messy stuff that comes with leadership. And yet, he still found solace in connecting with this natural order.
It's like he found a way to create this inner peace even in the middle of chaos. And that's something I think we could all use a little more of, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that's what's so fascinating about exploring his work. It's not just about ancient history. It's about finding timeless wisdom that's applicable to our lives here and now.
So we're learning to ride the waves, embrace the chaos. But it can't just be about staying calm in the storm, right? Aurelius also talks about virtue. What did he mean by that?
He believed that a good life wasn't about amassing possessions or external validation. It was about living in accordance with virtue. Things like justice, wisdom, courage, temperance. He saw these as the cornerstones of a meaningful life.
It's like he's saying true success isn't about climbing the corporate ladder, but about the kind of person you are on each rung.
Exactly. And what I find fascinating is that he didn't see these virtues as unattainable ideals. He believed we could cultivate them through daily practice, through our choices, big and small.
So how do we actually do that? How do we take these lofty ideas and make them concrete in our daily lives?
One of the most powerful practices Aurelius advocates for is self-reflection. He encourages us to examine our thoughts and actions, to ask ourselves if they align with the virtues we aspire to embody. It's like holding up a mirror to our own souls.
And I'm guessing that kind of honest self-reflection can be pretty uncomfortable, right?
It can be.
Right.
But it's also incredibly liberating. It allows us to identify areas where we might be falling short and make conscious choices to do better. For example, Aurelius talks a lot about anger and judgment. He encourages us to approach difficult people and situations with understanding rather than rage.
That's so relevant, especially in today's world where it's so easy to get caught up in online arguments or road rage incidents.
Exactly. He even suggests that when we encounter someone behaving badly, we should try to understand the root cause of their behavior. Maybe they're acting out of fear, insecurity, or past trauma. Now, this doesn't excuse their actions, but it can help us cultivate compassion and respond with more empathy.
That's a game changer. Imagine approaching a heated debate, not with the intention to win, but with genuine curiosity to understand the other person's perspective. That takes serious self-awareness and courage.
It does. And that's what's so inspiring about Aurelius. He doesn't shy away from the tough stuff. He challenges us to be better versions of ourselves, even in the face of adversity.
He also talks about living each day as if it were our last. That always feels a bit intense to me.
It's definitely a powerful reminder of the preciousness of time. But it doesn't have to be morbid. It's about living with a sense of urgency and purpose, making choices that truly align with our values. Imagine waking up each morning and asking yourself, if today were my last, would I spend it the same way?
Wow, that really puts things into perspective. I know for me, it would definitely make me think twice about hitting the snooze button or getting sucked into mindless scrolling.
Exactly. It's about being present, savoring each moment, and living with intention. It's about choosing to focus on what truly matters, rather than getting bogged down by the trivial.
So we're talking about cultivating virtue, reflecting on our choices, and approaching life with a sense of purpose. It's like Aurelius is giving us this ancient blueprint for building a meaningful life.
He is. And what's incredible is that this blueprint is just as relevant and powerful today as it was centuries ago. It's a testament to the enduring wisdom of his philosophy.
It's really incredible when you think about it. These ideas have resonated across centuries.
I know, right? It really makes you think about what stands the test of time. So as we wrap up our deep dive into Marcus Aurelius and meditations, what's your big takeaway?
You know, for me, it keeps coming back to that idea of finding calm in the chaos.
That resonates with me too. And Aurelius wasn't some untouchable figure. He was leading an empire, dealing with illness, betrayals. I mean, he lost children.
He faced some really heavy stuff.
He did. And yet, he still found a way to navigate those challenges with this incredible sense of resilience.
It's like he's saying, life is going to throw you curveballs. Like, that's a given. But you can choose to step up to the plate and swing.
Exactly. And he doesn't just leave us hanging. He gives us the tools to actually do that.
Right.
Like that arena analogy we talked about, we can choose to be the spectator who's freaking out over every little thing.
Getting way too invested in the outcome of things we can't control.
Right. Or we can be that calm observer, knowing we can only control our own reactions.
And that's such a powerful shift in perspective. It's not about being passive. It's about being intentional with where we direct our energy.
Yes. And that idea of focusing on what we can control, it connects everything we've been talking about, cultivating virtue, finding peace in the middle of chaos.
It's like he's giving us this roadmap to navigate all of life's ups and downs. So as we wrap up, I want to bring it back to our listeners. What's one small step they can take today, inspired by Marcus Aurelius, to live a more intentional, meaningful life?
Ooh, good question. You know, it can be something as simple as just taking a few minutes each day to be mindful. Pay attention to your breath, notice the sensations in your body, observe your thoughts without judgment.
Create that space between stimulus and response.
Exactly. That's where that freedom lies, that power of choice.
And on that note, ancient wisdom for modern times. Big thanks to you, expert speaker's name, and to our listeners. Remember what Marcus Aurelius said: the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. So choose wisely, everyone, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive.